Hello and welcome back to a brand new video where today I'll be breaking down my latest predictions for the upcoming gubernatorial elections for the midterms. So let's get right into it. So first we're going to start off as usual with the safe Republican seats. Interestingly, Vermont is the safest seat. It is held by Republican Governor Phil Scott, and I don't think anything's going to change that much. It is quite popular. Then we have the usual Wyoming and Idaho, Tennessee, Alabama, South Dakota, Arkansas, and interestingly, New Hampshire, which was previously held by Chris Sununu and is now held by Kelly Olet, and she is also quite popular in the area. Now moving on to the Democrat safe seats, we have Hawaii, Massachusetts, Illinois, Pennsylvania, quite interestingly, as Josh Shapiro is quite popular in the States and is a potential 2028 presidential nominee. Rhode Island, Minnesota. This seat was previously held by Tim Walz. However, since he dropped out, it is going to go to Amy Klobuchar as a presumptive nominee for the seat, and she should win it by a lot. Then we also have, believe it or not, Arizona, Katie Hobbs. According to polling, she is doing quite well, and I think that she should be able to hold Arizona in a safe margin. And then finally, we have New Mexico with Deb Haaland expected to win the seat, and a lot of that can be attributed to the general mood of the national electorate. Now, moving on to the likely seats, I think that New York, while it was quite close in 2024 in the presidential race, I think that Katie Hochul, while unpopular, should be able to hold her governorship with a likely margin. Then moving over to Colorado, which has always been a bit of a more purple seat, which has been leaning more blue, I think that Michael Benet should be able to hold the seat. And then we have Oregon, which was in 2022, was a three-way race, and I believe that if you look at the polling, it's actually quite close. So I think that Tina Kotek should be able to hold on to it, but it'll be quite a close race, an interesting one to look at. And then we have Maryland. Now, normally this should be a safe seat for the Democrats to pick up. However, former Republican Governor Larry Hogan is running against incumbent Wes Moore, and I think Wes Moore will be able to hold on to Maryland. Oh, sorry, and I've missed Oklahoma as a safe seat for the Republicans as we move on to the likely governorships. Now, I think that Texas, while it will be close in the Senate seat, it won't be quite that close for the governorship. However, yet again, things could change, as incumbent Governor Greg Abbott does have a fair amount of criticism, but also has support within his state. Then we have Florida, which was a safe Republican governorship under Ron DeSantis, but now it appears that it has slipped a little bit with Brian Donalds being the presumptive nominee. Then we have Ohio, and I think that despite a lot of social media buzz, I think that Vivek is still expected to win the Republican seat, as he does have a bit of sway over Republican voters and some independents. Then we move on to South Carolina, which should again be a likely seat, and that a part of that is due to, again, the national trends that we are seeing, which are favoring Democrats, and that will start to push a little bit on South Carolina, but I don't expect the Democrats to pick it up. And then finally, we have Georgia as the final likely seat. Former Governor Brian Kemp, he was always able to win statewide as a Republican, while Democrats were usually able to win a victory with Raphael Warnock against the Republican. However, with this race, if you do look at the polling, it does suggest that Rick Jackson does have an advantage. Now, moving on to the lean seats for Republicans, there is only one, and that is Nebraska. Interestingly, if you look at the polling, there's Jim Pillen is only winning by 5 points, And funnily enough, the legalized marijuana party is running in at 18%, which you wouldn't particularly expect in a more Republican seat like Nebraska, but that is what the poll is suggesting, and maybe more polling could show that it's a little bit closer or a little bit further away. But for now, I'm going to have Nebraska as lean Republican. Now moving on to the lean Democrat seats, we have in Maine, which should be a close-ish race between Nirav Shah for the Democrats and Robert Charles for the Republicans. However, I do expect that Maine should remain in the Democrats' column. And then we have quite a close freeway race in Michigan between Jocelyn Benson from the Democrats, John James, and Duggan running as an independent who was the mayor of Detroit, but I do expect that the Democrats will be able to get a victory in Michigan. Now, interestingly enough, I have Connecticut in the lean column, and that is because while Connecticut is still a firmly Democrat state, the incumbent Ned Lamont, he said that he wasn't going to run for a third term, and now he is running for a third term, and that has caused a lot of voters to feel like they have been betrayed by Ned Lamont. So that is why we are seeing not that much support for Ned Lamont, and it looks like maybe Aaron Stewart from the Republicans could maybe eke out a victory, but for now I still think that the Democrats will hold it. And another interesting hold is in Kansas. Now, it was previously had a Democratic governor, and while state in the federal level at least, Kansas is still a red seat. I think that with the current Democratic climate favoring them, and with maybe strong campaign leaning into the former Democratic governor, I think that the Democrats could hold the governorship, and it would be quite a surprise for the midterms. And then the final lean seat will be Iowa, with Rob Sand outpolling at the moment Randy Finstra. And based on polling and the inaccuracies of previous polling, I think that Iowa should be a state to watch out for as it could provide a Democratic governor. Now we're moving on to the tilt seats, which will be decided by less than 2.5%, and there is only one Republican seat that I have in this column, and that will be Nevada, with incumbent Joe Lombardo defeating the challenger Aaron Ford. Now, Nevada swung to Trump and to the Republicans for the first time in a while in 2024, and I think that it will remain red as was shown in 2022. Now, on to the other seats, we have Mandela Barnes. I think that it will be quite a close race, but he should be able to hold off Tom Tiffany. And then we have Alaska, which should be a very narrow pickup for Tom Billich, and running alongside Mary Peltola, who was elected by the ranked choice voting, who should be able to run up a strong margin with Mary Peltola. And finally, we have California, which is quite an interesting race. It shouldn't really be that close, but there's been effectively only two real Republicans running for the seat, and there's a whole lot of Democrats that are running, and a lot of them were waiting for Kamala Harris to see if she would run. And given that she isn't, she's most likely running for the president. It does leave the race wide open for a Democrat to get in, and it seems that they're all deciding to run. And of course, some of them have had some controversies, such as Katie Porter and Eric Swalwell. So, regardless, I think that Xavier Becerra should be able to hold governorship for the Democrats. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you like the video, please feel free to give it a like down below and subscribe for more content like this. To the left, you'll see my most recent Senate prediction video, and I'll see you in the next video.